Hey guys,
Mm.
welcome to the MMO Subcast, episode 4. Here with me I have Massimo,
Here I am.
and I am Wayne.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Mass.
Hello.
So, Mass, what are we talking about today?
Yes, good question. What are we talking about? We are talking about questing. Today's subcast is questing.
Questing in
It's
MMOs.
a
Who
big
would have
one.
thought?
Yeah, huh? Who does that in MMOs nowadays? Actually, everyone.
I have a lot of quarrels with questing in
Yeah.
MMOs.
Well, how about we start off with like the basic? What is the standard for quest systems these days in an MMO?
These days,
Yeah,
it's
these days.
these days it's go kill this monster 15 times, collect its tusks, bring 5 back to me, and GG.
That's pretty much it. I know you would reference the boar as well. It's like
Because it's always the ball.
they really should like change that up a little.
Like at least make
Get
it a
rid of the
sheep or
boar.
something. Get me some wool, yeah?
Yeah, right? Like leave the boars alone. I like boar.
It's racism
God damn, kill the sheep.
or animalism or discrimination or something. There's a word, okay? It's
There's
probably
something about there's
discrimination.
something for it.
Yeah. But
Um
that's basically what questing is
yeah,
in
that's
this
pretty much the
stage.
gist of it. It's like basic quests like that where it's go off, kill this many times, come back, and then that's pretty much it. And the worst part about it for me when it comes to questing in MMOs these days, and I despise this more than anything in current day MMOs. I hate this. I may have mentioned this already, but my biggest pet peeve, my beef, if you will, is quest hubs. I can't stand quest hubs. They're
Oh
in
shit.
like every MMO nowadays, and literally an MMO is made up of quest hubs. And if do you know, for those who don't know what a quest hub is, maybe you can like just talk them through it.
Yeah, it's like well, the way I'm thinking of it is like a panel that will show you your quests.
Um, Kinda, but you know where you start off and you run over to like an NPC and there's like seven of them waiting for you with
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
seven quests. They all have like no, they all have like two or three quests each. And you literally go there, and in about 10 seconds, you've acquired like 15 quests from them. And
Yeah.
you've literally skipped through all of the text they've given you, and you just click accept,
Because
accept,
you just
accept,
don't
accept.
care. You just
That's what a quest hub is, and you're right. You just don't care about the quests you get in.
And they're going to be all over the map. In every MMO, what you're going to do is you're going to go and do the ones that require lower level requirement or lower skill requirement first.
Yep,
And then you're going to go around the map, doing the harder ones as you level up from the previous quests. And then you go back to the hub, and then you're going to talk to them all again, hand in all your quests again, and then there'll be like half the people that gave you a quest before will have a secondary quest for you to do, and then you go do that in the
yep.
exact same way.
And
And
it's
that is
literally
questing.
rinse and repeat, and you go from one quest hub to the next, to the next, to the next until you're max level. And I can't stand that method of questing in an MMO. It's just so inorganic, you know. It's just it doesn't work for me, and they become so generic. The quests as well, like you said, it's go here, kill this many boars, and collect this many tasks. And I
Mhm.
can't stand that because quest hubs, that's all they're filled with. You can't get dynamic with a quest hub.
No, not at all. It's actually one of the things that I really loved about the Star Wars leveling system was that you didn't actually have to do you could basically do anything you wanted, like anything that was available for you to do in the game, you could level up using it.
Yeah,
So you could do the quest if you wanted. You could follow the story. A lot of people loved the story, and it probably was some of the best stories ever made in MMOs to date. But like once I leveled my first character, I didn't really care anymore. Like I made a character that I only leveled through PvP, and then I had another character that I only leveled in flashpoints, which are basically like lower level dungeons. Um, so instead of doing the questing, you can do those. But the problem is, like I can't. Maybe World of Warcraft, I don't really play it, but like there's not many games that actually allow you to do that. To level up to max level in most games, you have to go sit through the questing, go into the quest hubs. And then what's even worse is that normally you'll get like daily quests, that you're rinsing out each day in, day out. They never change. But then what's even worse on top of that is that your quest HUD, your quest HUD, heads up display, it will only let you accept like say 15 or 20 quests. Now, if you've accepted like 10 daily quests, and then you get to a quest hub and there's like another 15 quests for you to do, you can't take them all. You
Yeah.
have to go. It forces you to do the ones you've already got that you might want to save for a later date, because for some reason they're limiting how many quests you can carry, because that's a thing that they feel that they need to do because yeah, bad words.
Welcome to current day MMOs. But
Yes.
that's absolutely right. Like, that's exactly what I experience when I play MMOs nowadays. And a lot of the time now you find in these MMOs, like you mentioned in World of Warcraft, that the compared to the older ones, the difficulty is so much has changed so much. Whereas now it's you can go to a quest hub by yourself, pick up these 15 quests, and you can complete them by yourself, and that's an MMO nowadays.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, well, I say back in the day, I'm thinking of like early EverQuest. I'm gonna reference EverQuest quite a lot because EverQuest did questing pretty well, considering it's called EverQuest. You would assume the questing would be done pretty well. Um, in early EverQuest days, there wasn't a quest window to update your quests for you. You wouldn't even know, like, unless you had a piece of paper and writ down the objectives that were given to you by the NPC or whatever. There was no way for you to keep track of your quests, and it was to that extent that you had to actually read everything that the NPC gave you, all the little hints and tips that they gave you before you went out and start questing for them. Just because if you hadn't, there wouldn't be a quest window. You could just pop up and like grab the summary, which you normally find. Today you go to a quest hub, you don't have to read any of the text. You just accept 15 quests, you open up the window, and there's all the 15. You got the 15 quests for you just laid out, summarized. Go here, kill 15 of these. Go here, collect this and give it to this guy. Go here, turn this over to him, and then come back to this. And you've got the mini map as well to show you exactly where you got to go. They literally
Yeah.
hold your hand every step of the way for a quest hub. Whereas in EverQuest, unless you had a piece of paper and a pen, you couldn't do the quest because it was just too difficult to maintain and update in your own memory.
Yeah, and it would make you instead it would sort of force you in a sense, but like in a good way, to to not hold, like I spoke about hogging quests a second ago. It's something that I find that when a game allows me to do so, I'll just pick up every quest and I won't even do them all. And then by the time I'm max level, I've got like 200 quests sitting on my quest log that
Yeah,
I'm never going to do because I don't need to. But it forces you to sort of go out of your way to actually do it there and then because you've
you'd
got
lose track
to.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And like I remember a day when it didn't waypoint you to a quest, but the map by the way waypoint literally like a GPS to where you have to go. Instead it would say, yo, go to okay, but Borderlands 2 is the best example because it does exactly what I'm about to say. Go to Brisbane Wildlands, and then you look on the map, you see where Brisbane Wildlands is, and you go there. Instead, you don't even need to look at where you have to go. You just follow the GPS. Oh, it's so
And
frustrating.
yeah, and that's the absolute worst because it's literally babying you, and it just becomes so easy, and it just takes away the fun and the immersion because they're doing everything for you as opposed to you actually working towards it yourself.
Yeah.
And I've already
It's-
mentioned already that these quests don't require anyone but yourself, and that's the one thing I think that MMOs have lost. It's like one of the most important elements to an MMO nowadays, and they've lost it completely, and that's the need for a group, especially in questing. Whereas, nowadays, like I said, you can literally jump from one quest hub to the next, and you're casually leveling up to you're always leveling up to the equal amount to whatever the quest hub is. So if you're level 15, the quest hub is usually around level 13 to 16, and you can do all of the quests there solo. Whereas, like I said, in EverQuest, you couldn't do the quests by yourself. I mean, there were a few where they would take time and you could do it by yourself, but we're talking like days and weeks to get them done.
Effort.
Yeah, and they EverQuest was known for what they call their epic quest, a single quest that every class gets, and it's a quest you can only do later in the game, and it would take you, it could take you literally months to complete, months, because the quest in EverQuest required you to group up, and not just group, but it incorporated like the best parts of an MMO in my opinion, which was raiding, and you would have to like wait around for your guild to reach the zone that you needed to raid for your epic quest, because your epic quest usually involved a dragon, which you couldn't solo or group. You needed to raid that, and you would have to wait for your guild to reach that point. If that makes any sense. You probably know what I'm talking about, Wayne, because you have experience with raiding, but you can't just
Yeah.
you can't just gather 20 people and go straight to this place and raid. Sometimes you have to sort of gear yourself up before you can actually work your way up to a specific zone or raid, and that's what you had to do in EverQuest for these epic quests. You had to wait around. Perhaps you had to help the other classes acquire some of their epics or some of their just pieces of their epics of their quests to acquire it before you actually got your turn to take on your dragon and get your piece. And literally for every one person doing the epic quest, you'd each have to kill off a dragon. They could have like a 7-day spawn time on them, which means if one person like completed their epic quest, the next person in line would have to wait at least 7 days before they got the chance to do it themselves. And
Yeah.
that's something that you don't see in an MMO nowadays.
No, Guild Wars 2, like it's sort of related to it a little bit, but the rewards wasn't even as great. Well, I guess it was. Like, okay, there's in Guild Wars 2 quickly. There was a thing. There was something called a precursor. Precursor was essentially the rarest drop in the game. It let you make your legendary weapon, which is the most. It takes a long time. It is like I'm talking like a 5 or 6 month grind to make a legendary weapon,
Yeah.
unless you're like stupid rich somehow. Like if you was playing the market, you could get it in 2 or 3 months. But yeah, so you get your precursor. It's one of like 4 things you need to make your legendary. Now these world bosses would come up, but and they'd have a chance to drop. They had the biggest chance to drop precursors. There were other things as well, but they was your best bet. But they spawned every 4 hours, and
So you could literally just farm them.
well, you couldn't exactly farm them because you'd only get one chest a day.
Okay.
But the fact that like you like part of playing an MMO is to get immersed into it. But like, and it's not exactly the same as getting this epic rewards but that just doesn't exist anymore anyway. Like that was back in the good days of
Yeah, I
MMOs.
mean now everything you pick up is an epic item, isn't it?
Yeah, but this like it's I sort of liked to know that I had to if I like it was okay if I missed it, but if I could be on at like say 7 p.m. I would have a chance to get this.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, it's 7 o'clock. That's cool. I'll just play something else and go on in 4 hours if I feel like it, and just get it then instead. You know,
Yeah, yeah, no,
like
I see it, and I guess like if you have a full-time job, that's something that would be somewhat convenient for you. Like it'll give you the opportunity to, whereas like in EverQuest, it would be devastating because you would have to wait for the 7-day timer, and that could be like 1 o'clock in the morning where the timer ends and the respawn, it respawns, and if you don't get to it fast enough with your guild, somebody else in another guild will get to it, and
yeah.
at that point, if they do, you have to wait another 7 days. You
And I
know.
guess that's the devil's advocate to it. But then, like at least when you've got to wait those 7 days and get really hardcore into it, you're immersed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas if you're not, if you don't, then you're not immersed.
Exactly, but the thing that it focused more on was to the reliance on other people. Whereas, like I said, in what was it in Guild Wars 2, you didn't have to rely on a certain group of people. Everyone would just jump in. They'd see a boss, they come running down, jump in, burn it down, and you loot whatever you needed to loot, and you sort of run away again.
Yeah, I never know mechanics in that game.
Yeah, and
But again, it's the same with all games. Like, well, not all games. Like raiding in like like games like Star Wars: The Republic. Well, obviously, to name two off the top of my head. Like their raiding systems are obviously like completely different to questing. They have some really hardcore mechanics that are amazing, which is why I played the game for so long. But like even the world bosses now, it's just a DPS race. Like,
yeah, and
hey,
we've touched upon this as well, haven't we?
yeah, it's hey, stand still, don't even move. Just like just set your auto attack, which you could do in Guild Wars, by the way. You could set your auto attack to literally your like normal move to literally auto attack where you AFK, go take a piss, make a cup of tea, come back up, and the boss is still dying
Yeah,
that's just what it does. And it's yeah, that's what games are. That's what questing is. Like that's like, well, I guess that's not exactly questing. Well, it is because
It's a
you're
part
you're
of it.
questing. Yeah,
It's a part
it's a
of it.
part of questing. So now, back in EverQuest days, 10, 15 years ago, you had quests that with a group, with a guild, will take you hours to days to complete.
Yeah.
Now, in those 15 years, we've got to a point where I set my skill to auto attack. I go take a piss. I make a cup of tea. I come back up. I sit back and drink the tea for a couple of minutes, and then I can pick up my awesome sword that I worked so hard to get. That is how questing has changed in
That's pretty
15
much it.
years. Like, to put it into perspective.
Okay, so touching upon that, then, how would, let's say, how could today's standard of questing be improved? And in your opinion, does it need changing?
I th it's opinion. It's very much opinion based now. Like
Because you have to
people,
think about the type of players that are playing MMOs nowadays as well.
yeah. I've played with people younger, and I've played with people older, and I've played with people a lot older. Like one of the oldest people I played with in an MMO ever was in Guild Wars 1, and he was 84 years old. He
Wow.
stopped playing the game because the arthritis in his arm got so bad
Oh
that he
my
literally
word.
couldn't move the mouse anymore. Like that's how old this guy was. So like, and he's been playing MMOs his whole life. People that other people I've played with between like the ages of, I'd say 13, which like they're kids, they're annoying,
Hmm.
but not many that young. Like I'd say between the ages of like 17 in comparison to my age of being 22 at the moment, so
Hmm.
5 years younger to like about the age of 40 or 50. Like that's the general sort of age group you find.
I think that's the target audience as well, isn't it? 13 plus, and it's that target audience that
Mm,
has no problem with that mind-numbing quest hubbing sort of
that was
quest
my
system.
yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, I've debated about this. Well, I've debated anything you hear in these MMO casts. I've already debated about a million times with
Yeah, and
both
we've
Mass
probably
and other
even
people.
mentioned them in previous casts as well.
Yeah, like at least touched upon it. But what I tend to find is that like people under the age of 18, like, or okay, no, I shouldn't say that. People with the maturity age of around under 18. I'm not saying that in like a bastardly way. Just the
You
general
bastard.
maturity of like lacking, like people who lack maturity, they just don't care. They're just like they're easily pleased.
Yeah.
Um, they tend to not care. They tend to be like one person asked me to do a dungeon with him once. I was like, nah, sorry, it's just too easy. Like I've done it 101 times. It's like
Hmm.
exactly like why would you want to do a hard dungeon?
Yeah.
Like what's that bullshit? Why would you actually want to work? It's like, well, because that's how I have fun.
Wasn't that actually the reason why you left the Star Wars game?
It's the reason that I no, that's not exactly. There was like more personal problems with drama and stuff for me
Okay.
leaving Star
But I
Wars.
know you were struggling with the dungeons and the fact that you kept completing them faster that they can like pump them out.
Yeah, that was like the tipping stone. Like I could have coped with it because we was like a world leading guild. I
Yeah.
could have coped with it and stuck with it because like their content, like I've been keeping up with the guys I played with, and the content is like it's still being released and getting very good, and it's getting a lot harder than it used to be. So they have sort of fixed it up a bit. But like the reason I didn't stay and deal with it was because the people I was playing with just got too big for their boots.
Yeah.
But it's the reason I stopped playing Guild Wars. Because it was
I mean
way too
that's
easy.
that's always a big part of an MMO, and that's the community.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, basically it's
Because you
just
can find yourself with a
community.
mature sort of group of people, like in a guild, for example. But in a game where, in a game where in like Guild Wars 2, where you're surrounded by just randomers a lot of the time, you'll find that half of them won't be mature. They will be kids.
Just to recap, you asked me whether I think it needs to change
Yeah,
what I think of it.
and if there's a way you feel that it could be improved.
Now that's exactly it. Now I think that the current way they're doing it is perfect in if you're targeting the audience of say under 20s, like the sort of teenage audience.
Yeah,
They're still, you know what, like they're still in college. They don't want to go. They don't want to spend hours on MMOs. They don't have to dedicate like too much of their time because they're
camp
they're
one
they're,
spawn for
they're
7 days.
yeah, they're quote unquote studying, or whatever. But like they're just living their lives still, and they're not like they're just not as
don't have the time to invest in these
Yeah,
MMOs
or they
like the
don't
kids
even
perhaps back then.
yeah, they still want to. They just want to go out and stuff. Do live their lives and do everything. That's fine. Like it's okay that they if they want to come on socialize with some people and just spam some buttons and everything drops. And you know what? Like I actually I do understand that. I really do. Like for that age for that sort of age group as well, especially, it's good. But the thing that I feel is that every MMO that's released now is catered towards that audience. When if you I'm sure I'm not I don't know of any surveys, but I'm pretty certain just from my personal experience, if you did a survey on the age groups that play MMOs, there's going to be more people over the age of 20 than under. Now that's partly well, okay, no, there's going to be more people over the age of 28 than under the age of 20 that are playing MMOs. There really is. That
Yeah,
like
and I think
regularly at
yeah, and
least.
probably I'm assuming those people are the ones who can invest in an MMO in the sense that they can pay monthly subscriptions. Whereas if you jump onto like these free to play MMOs, you'll find that they're actually filled with a lot of young people.
Yeah, and I feel like that there isn't an MMO that is catered towards these older groups. There isn't a complete WoW clone. Um, they like okay. I'm going to use two words here: sandbox and roller coaster. Sandbox. Okay, no, roller coaster is easier to explain. Well, it's not. They're both easy. But roller coaster is basically where a game will take you by the hands. Well, not necessarily by the hands, but like it's very linear in what you can do. Like it walks you through to going from one place to the next to the next to the next to the next, and you follow this chain of events in order to progress through the game. Um, so basically, that's like any well type game that is out right now, which
That's
is
pretty much
almost all
like
of them.
every MMO right now.
Yeah. Then there's Sandbox. Now Sandbox, you'll often have a opening tutorial that will last you half an hour to an hour, to learn the basics, to sort of so you're not just thrown in into the deep end and have no idea what to do. And I'm going to say quickly that's what I think is that's how I think like sandbox MMOs have improved now. There was a day where you'd be thrown in, you wouldn't even know the controls, and that would be kind of annoying. Like it'd be nice to sort of work it out for yourself sometimes, but I think having that tutorial there is really helpful, and
Yeah, you
you
definitely need
can
a
often
tutorial. Yeah.
yeah, you can often opt to skip it if you really want to anyway. But back on track, Sandbox is it's completely different. Like the easiest game to compare this to, because I know most people will know it, is RuneScape. Everyone knocks that game, go ahead, whatever. But the point is, it for its time, and even now, it is still um, it is still a one of the highest subscribed sandbox MMOs out there, and it's doing really well. It's doing amazingly well. So you can laugh at it, call it shit, whatever. It's still doing well because the only two sandbox MMOs that I can think of are RuneScape and Eve Online. Um,
Yeah,
Eve
and
Online
yeah.
is a sandbox game. It's complete like, so, and sandbox is you do the tutorial, you get thrown into the game. The whole entire world is open to you. You go do your thing. There's some places that you shouldn't go to because they're like out of your level range maybe, or it's just going to be stupid to go to them because you'll get completely killed or whatever. But that's a sandbox. Like you make your
Generally
own
speaking, you can
choices.
explore. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
When I was doing the research, RuneScape came up quite a lot, and I don't have much experience with RuneScape. I did try it, but I couldn't get into it myself. But I've heard a lot of good reviews on the questing in RuneScape. I just wanted to throw that in there,
yeah.
um,
It
especially
forces you to
original
explore.
RuneScape.
Yeah, RuneScape forces you to explore instead of forcing you to go to one place and kill 10 things. That's the difference. Like you have to go, it's old school questing. You have to go there, you have to get this one thing, then you have to take it to free the princess, and then you have to take the princess to the castle to stop so she can cast a spell to stop the dragon attack. Like good old school questing. I just
Yeah,
made all that up on the spot. But like
I missed
that's
those quests, by the way.
yeah.
Um, they were less generic, weren't they? It was less go here and kill 70s and then report back to me. Um, I think when it comes to improving these quests to the for today's MMOs nowadays, they need to think about dynamic quests. I think right now it's like 15 single quests all of them very generic, and it's just like we said, you go here and you kill this. Whereas maybe they should think about maybe chaining a few of them up, reducing the amount of quests, and increasing the difficulty for them. So for example, I'm thinking at the top of my head now. So maybe you can incorporate crafting, into your quests, which actually some MMOs nowadays do that. But yeah, if you incorporate crafting, just to chain it with something else within another quest itself, it sort of like extends the quests, and it just makes it more dynamic and more immersive, I think. Even things like adding investigating, having to investigate during a quest as well. I think that also creates like immersion, but it's not something you have to do anymore. It's literally you follow the mini map now, and it takes you straight to wherever it is you need to be, and it tells you exactly how many you got to kill of whatever it is you need to kill. And they don't let the player figure the stuff out for themselves. So, for example, with investigation, you can sort of like, I like how I don't know if I want to say Skyrim, but it did it pretty well. It's not an MMO, but in the sense that you had to sneak about, and occasionally there were quests where you had to sort of like keep back, and you had to be patient and wait for maybe an NPC to walk by, or you'd have to follow somebody around to see what it was they're doing. If they were getting into, if they were getting into trouble, or to, you'd be spying on them, and you'd be investigating, you'd be following the breadcrumbs basically to finish the quest, as opposed to go here, do this, and come back. It made these quests more dynamic and more fun to play.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, thinking about it now, something else they could do, which I think Guild Wars 2 did, what it tried to do, was the randomly generated quests. You've played Guild Wars 2 for quite a bit, so you've probably encountered it, where you sort of walk into a town, and the town gets attacked by like the enemy, and you end up having to defend the town.
It wasn't done in towns, but yeah.
Yeah, in cities, or in.
It was done in the wilderness always.
Yeah, and I like the idea of what they tried to do there, but I felt like when I did those things, there wasn't much of an impact. I don't know if you ever felt like that when you was in Guild Wars 2, but you would sort of defend the town, and then everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, thank you very much," and then you'd walk away, and you'd turn around, and the baddies have respawned, and it's been attacked again. There was no impact.
Well, it wasn't even random. It was you do it, and then it would be happen again in half an hour. Like,
yeah,
and Guild Wars did not have it right. They did not have it right.
So I mean, it's almost like they try to generate these random quests, but they weren't as random as they should have been. Basically,
they tried to do something different, and what they tried to do would have been really good, but they just didn't get it. Maybe next time.
They need to make. It's like I was thinking about it as well, and if they were able to make it more of an impact on your character, then you probably could enjoy it some more. Like, it wouldn't feel so generic.
Yeah.
For example, even if you had to go as far as to create your own instances, we've not talked about instances, have we? But I don't know if I need to an instance where you get a zone just to yourself. It's that's pretty much what an instance is. It's a zone.
Yeah,
it's a zone just made to you for your character
and your party.
Yeah, and your party, and nobody else in the MMO can sort of enter it or join. Yeah, unless you sort of invite them. So even if they had to do these like randomly generated quests in an instance, that could work. Where you sort of like jump into like in an instance, you jump in and you save like a town in an underground cave or something, where they're like mole people or something like that. And the instance it's personal to you, but after you save them, it remains the same. It remains saved, so you could sort of go back there, and you could continue to speak to the people who still adore you and love you for saving them like months back. And maybe you could like even go as far as to like open up new merchants after saving them, or like unlocking a few extra quests, after saving them.
Guild Wars 1 actually had things like that.
That's pretty cool, but that's not something I've not seen in an MMO or in Guild Wars 2.
The problem with it is that people complain that they can't do it because they play solo now, and like there's the biggest complaint about instances in MMOs is just that an instance isn't massively multiplayer. It's like you or a small group of people, and if you don't have people to play with, you can't just start it and hope someone else comes along. But I agree with you. Like, it's part of the age generation that is playing games right now. They don't want instances. And like to quickly go back onto the topic that I still haven't finished earlier, that is a thing like that's actually what we need. We need games with instances. We need a sandbox MMO that isn't catered to teenagers.
Yeah, pretty much. I
Like
feel like instances would divide that up for the hardcore players because you can like
yeah, it's how
the
questing would be better.
yeah,
Like to answer
but
the
I
question.
think instances is probably like a subject in its own like
Yeah, we'll
something
talk
we'll talk
about it.
about that separately. But yeah, that's something they could sort of use to maybe sort of go that way and maybe create the quest specific to your character. Instance is just one idea. I was just thinking about other ways to improve the quest system is to actually include like more options within the quest. So rather than go here and kill this boar 10 times, maybe you get other options to sort of complete the quest. For example, rather than, I don't know, if you need to extract information from someone, rather than go there and just kill the guy and take the information from him, you could maybe, I don't know, barter with the guy or like
Or
blackmail
if,
them or pay them off or something like
or
that.
even infiltrate or something.
Yeah, and that would mean like sometimes a lot of people in an MMO I find like to re-roll and they like to start a new player and they like to play through the game with different classes and class types and that means they're playing through the game a second time round or a third time round, and unless these quests are dynamic enough you're replaying the exact same quests and that gets really tedious and boring. So if
Yeah,
you were to have these options there for these quests, if you were to re-roll and start a new character, doing these same quests wouldn't actually feel the same because you could play them and you could accomplish them differently. So,
definitely.
so that's just another way that you could perhaps improve the quests. And a huge thing, text. I can't. Nowadays, there's too much texts in quests. I think we've mentioned this already, haven't we?
Yeah, like in the easiest way to say it, just like we're here to kill things and do stuff, not to read a novel.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You could like get like 10 pages of text only to find that what the guy was actually just asking you for was to go downstairs into his basement and kill the 6 rats. We didn't need 10 pages of text to tell us to do that. It's like
Yeah,
it's like hey, there's an infestation downstairs. You mind going downstairs and having a look? That's all we need. You don't
yeah,
need like the
sure.
backstory of the guy and his mom and his daughter's
And
struggling
how we like he
life.
played video games in a basement, like
Right.
just like half the people who play MMOs, and
And it's like if you do choose to read that 10 pages of text only to find it's just a guy asking you to kill a few rats, it's quite devastating and so it just sort of puts you off. And that's pretty much what MMOs are. You sort of have to skip through it because a lot of it is just nonsense now, isn't it?
yeah. But we are actually coming up to time.
We are.
So to recap, Massimo, your view on current MMO questing?
Oh God, like a final statement, shall I, if
Yeah,
you will?
final, but like not a 10-minute final statement.
Okay, a final statement. Let me try to think of a final statement. All right, I'll give you my opinion of what I feel like MMOs have become. In this modern day of MMOs, I feel like MMOs have become nothing more than a grind and a race to the finish line because people expect to have their fun at max level or end game, but I feel like if leveling was made to be fun and immersive, then people would spend less time trying to reach max level and more time having fun with their friends during the leveling process, which questing is a huge part of, especially with these modern day MMOs. So I think that's what they need to really focus on the question to help improve the leveling and make it more enjoyable, so it's not a race to the end. You're not constantly checking your experience bar to see how close you are to the next level. Instead you're in a group and you're having fun, and that's what an MMO should be.
I definitely agree. For me, I use this to compare things to all the time.
Go for it.
It's like EverQuest 1 was Taken 1, and then Guild Wars 2 was Taken 2. EverQuest 1 was a great game. It was just like it was brilliant in every way, except the way it ended was stupidly unrealistic because no one's going to be that happy after being raped.
Yep.
Well, she wasn't actually raped, but whatever. And then Taken 2 comes out, or Guild Wars 2 comes out, and people know it's going to be awful, but they bite the bait in hopes that it's going to be better, but it's still not because questing is just bullshit
Yeah.
in current day MMOs. However, it doesn't matter how many MMOs come out, how many are free to play, how many are pay to play. People, including myself, are still going to try and play them in the hopes that they get better.
There's always that hope, isn't there?
It's because they promise. They make promises. Oh, this game's gonna be like no other. It's gonna be exactly what you've always wanted it to be, and then no, it's
And
just
then
it's
it's
just
a
a
WoW
clone.
clone. Yep.
Yeah, we need a sandbox MMO.
Oh,
We
we
don't
need
have enough.
something. We need to. I'm not sure if I said this before, but we need to create our own MMO, even if it's in theory. And after we finish the subcasts, the MMO subcasts, and we get through everything, we will just, in theory, create our own MMO, and we will, in our own heads, we'll see how it plays out.
Yes. So guys, feel free to give us some comments on your ideas and questing, on your views, whether you disagree or agree, why you disagree or agree. Just
Yeah, maybe you like the crappy quest hubs.
yeah. What he means to say is maybe you like the quest hubs.
Crappy quest hubs.
He's not judging you, but he's
I'm not
totally
judging you. And this argument isn't one-sided, but quest hubs sucks.
They do. They suck.
God damn, I hate quest
But
hubs.
anyway, guys, thank you for joining us once again on the MMO Subcast.
Thank you, guys, and we will see you next time on the MMO Subcasts.
Yep. Probably next week or the week after, depending on what happens. Have a great day, evening, morning, whatever.
Night.
Maybe it's 2 a.m. and you're just listening to it because you're crazy.
Or as Wayne says, cray cray.
Cray cray, yes. It's like the word of last month that I'm still using this month.
That
Anyway, guys.
I've just picked up.
Yeah, you're going to be using it forever now. Have a good one, guys.
Night, guys.
Bye.